because we want to do a little bit of celebrations because our, the total treasury network volume is break 10 million. So I believe this is a very good milestone for everyone because, it's just about, I think, 70 days or 80 days, and we are actually double up our pool. And this is a very good thing for everyone because we all know that we are start from 5 million, right? And now it's 10 million. In, like less than 20 days, it's about 80 days. So it show that actually, you are really choosing a right platform for you. And then this going to be last longer, right? And of course, if you look at this 24-hour trading volumes, it's close to 669,000. So which is a very good, like turnover within 24 hours. So let's give a round of applause for POTS, right? Now let's go back to the things that I want to share, which is, So today I'm going to talk about the core philosophy of the POTS, right? Since we all know that POTS, we are the first one who actually making this DeFi. We are combining together with this prediction market. So we are very proud to announce that we are the first one in the market. Of course, when things getting heat, people will start to copy. So that's why there's a term is called copycat, right? Now, what is the core philosophy in POTS is we actually is an ecosystem that built with dual tokens. That means we are using two tokens models, okay, to resolve the one biggest problem in DeFi. Because we all know if we're using DeFi, especially in the Olympus style protocol, they are having two major issues. The first one is the unsustainability of the inflation. That is the first thing. Okay? The second one will be the price collapse. That means the price will be dropping. Okay? So like many of DeFi protocols, out there, they are having an issue. And most of them they're actually using single coins models. But in here we are different. Okay? We have IBS, we have POTS. So what the function of IBS is actually is a yield and the DeFi engines. So of course I have to admit that for IBS is inflationary. It's an inflationary coin and that is controllable. Okay? And the second one for POTS will be more value and there's a scarcity. Why? Because we have a fixed supply of it. And then trust me, POTS is going to be a long-term asset for everyone. Because we all know what's going to happen after 500 days. Secondary market is open and then the POTS we are carrying BTC. So definitely it's going to be a long-term asset, right? Now, what the purpose of IBS token is actually is a machine of the DeFi system. So this IBS coin is actually designed for, first thing, we're going to power the bond. Like now we open a section for bond and we actually have a, 2% discount because 5% discount is no more, it is past. So let's focus now we have 2% the extra bond. Okay, the 2% of discount, that's the first thing, right? So second thing is actually when we have the IBS coin, it's actually able for all of us to do the staking and take the reward. Okay? And then the third one, IBS is actually act as the yield of the generating of the coin. So lastly, for IBS coin, it actually provides the liquidity and the system stability. Okay? So if you think about POTS, you're going to know that POTS is the working capital of the ecosystem. Right, so this is what IBS coin is doing in here. What's the role that IBS coin is actually playing in this ecosystem, right? So, if we go to the IBS, right, what's the differences between our mechanism compared to others? Okay, so the key innovations in here is by the traditional DeFi models, okay, there is going to be do a direct bonding mining, okay, And whenever this happens directly, so it's going to supply over demand. That means there will mining more tokens that the actual need. That is a problem outside there. Okay. Second thing, there is no uncontrollable inflection rate for a bond event. So this is what happening outside. Now in POTS here, okay, what we're doing now is we are using the rebase pool contract models. Okay. So IBS is actually won't going to be printed. Okay, it's based on the demand only. That means it won't overprinted. Okay, of course IBS now they actually calculate how we do that is IBS is actually calculated and is issued based on system needed. So here's the formula logic for everyone because I don't want to put too many figures for you guys. You know, for me I think it should be fine because I'm from Asian, so we're all good in that. Okay. Now, the formula for IBS is the IBS going to supply for the dynamically and then it's going to adjust based on the estimated demand for the next 30 days. That means what? Okay, in human language, that means that in our system, okay, we have the formula to know that for coming 30 days, how many coins are actually need in next 30 days. So, by we knowing this coming 30 days, how many coins that we need, so the system himself is going to produce how many coins that they need. So by doing this action, we're going to lead to three results. The first one, we're able to control the inflections. Okay, because no extra coin, no overprinted coin, no over mining coin. That is the first thing. Second thing, our expansions is going to be smooth. Because we already know that coming 30 days, how many coins need to be paid for everyone. And then, by doing that, okay, there won't happen any sudden price dropping, or we call it the price shock. That means like, why all of a sudden the pricing was dropped? It's because we didn't do any extra coins that printed or mining out. Okay, so that is important. Why we able to maintain our pricing of POTS. So if you look at our chart here, you can always see our POTS coin, the pricing is somewhere around $39 to $40 in the between. So it won't go too high, it won't go too low. Once again, in defines, especially the Olympus style protocol, the best pricing for this model is you have to be sustained. You have to be stable your pricing, or else people are worried and people won't invest on that. Because it is a big risk of you. Try to imagine you look at one company and you look at their share is like up and down, up and down. Do you have confidence to actually invest the money in this kind of company? Of course, the answer will be no, unless you are the risk taker. So feel free to do that if let's say you're a risk taker. But of course, we all here because we want something that sustainability. This is the first thing. So like there's one phrase that I always say. When it's slow, it's going to be fast. Okay? Now, a lot of people that actually ask me, Ding, what's the differences between bond and staking? Until today, since our project has been launched for 80 days, you still have people who actually ask me, what's the differences between bond and staking? Can you actually differentiate that? Okay? So I make this photo for everyone to be clear on that. Okay? So on the left-hand side, we have a bond. On the right-hand side, we have staking. So what the difference between it is, okay, let's talk about bond. Because staking, we haven't started yet. It's going to happen in 23rd of May, this month. So we talk that later on. Let's talk about bond. What's the difference between bond and staking? So for bond, it's actually the creations for the liquidity. Why? Because whoever user that actually deposit the USDT, let's talk about I'm deposit 1,000 of USDT, alright? The fund of 1,000 actually is going to split to two particular parts. So 50% will go to the USDT liquidity. Meanwhile, another 50% go to the IBS liquidity. So by doing that, what is the result? Whoever doing bond is going to be added the value to the liquidity pool. That's why you see why our pool now is getting bigger and bigger. So by doing that, what's the benefit? We're going to strongest the floor pricing is going to be more stability. Okay, so this is something we bought. Right. So what's the differences between staking? What is that? So staking basically they are actually a market-based buying. That means that when you're doing a staking, you are actually buying the IBS from the LP, from the market. Now, when the user want to stake for IBS, okay, the user going to take the USDT to buy the IBS from the open market. So in here, our platform, we are using the PancakeSwap, which is the most, familiar for all of you guys, right? So by doing staking, actually, no new liquidity going to be created, okay? Of course, by doing that, no any artificial inflation is going to happen, okay? Because they directly buy the IBS from the pool, all right? And then from that, it's going to be a pure market-driven transactions, okay? So what I'm trying to say is the natural demand of IBS is healthier because the pricing is going to be discovery, okay? So that means that our price won't go too up, won't go too down because unless we close bond later on, then no more liquidity will be increasing. So by that, then the staking is going to be start, okay? Now, let's talk about the inflections model and how it works, okay? Yes, as I say, IBS is going to be an inflationary, okay, because we are using the Olympus style models. But there is something different between us. The inflation is, first thing, we are able to control. Why? Once again, because we are using the rebase formula for that. So we are able to know. Second thing, we are actually predictable. Why? Because according to the formula logic, we are able to know for the coming 30 days, we know how many demands that actually need. So it won't happen like extra coin created, okay? The last one is the counter is going to be balanced. Okay, so you can see the burning mechanism as below. Okay, here's the whole chart or whole flow of how it works. Okay, so the deflection engines is going to be a game changer for us. Because why? Okay, you see from that. First thing, in POS market, it's going to be generate a real revenues. Okay, so our main focusing is actually from prediction market, as we say. So in prediction market, there will be a certain percentage. It's like a gas fee is going to happen in prediction market. So this certain percentage of the gas fee in prediction market is going to use it in. First, we're going to buy the IBS from the market. So we're going to do the buyback. In the same time, all the IBS that we buy, we're going to burn for that. So that means in the total numbers of IBS is reducing. So while doing this, what is the impact? Okay, so the IBS supply is continuously reduced. It's going to be reduced. Why? Because the extra, the percentage of the prediction market fees is going to be buy IBS and going to burn. That means the IBS supply is reducing. Okay, so whenever it's reducing, it means what? It means the liquidity is growing because less IBS. Okay. Second thing, we bought the IBS, it's going to be never re-enter for the calculations. Okay. So by doing this, our circulation supplies is going to be reducing. Okay. So the USDT for buyback in this stage, okay, the USDT used for buyback is going to be stay in the liquidity because we put USDT in, we take IBS out. So IBS burn, USDT stay in the pool. So by doing this, the pricing is going to be maintained or increase that because more USDT come in the pool, more IBS come out the pool, and this IBS is no one is holding. We are buy and burn. Okay? Now, so this is the whole chart that you need to know and very clearly because why we are doing the prediction market is because we need the integrations of it. So that by doing that, only we're able to maintain our defined pricing, our IBS coin pricing. So that is an important note for everyone. Right. Now, some people actually ask me very often that actually how many IBS total supply. And I believe this question might be asked by your own also, okay? So the answer is there is a no fixed supply for IBS coin. Why? Okay. First thing first, you have to know that IBS is a utility and a reward tokens. Okay. So this IBS is actually designed to expand with the ecosystem growth. Okay. But no need to worry. Why? Because first thing first, the expansion is controllable. Because as we mentioned, we have a formula. And then we have the offset by the continuously burning. That means what? That means the prediction market, certain percentage that we're having, right? It's going to go back to IBS pool to buy IBS and burn. So whenever we're doing this action, IBS out, USDT in. So that's why it won't like the pricing go too low because we are keep on burning the extra IBS that they have. Right. Now let's talk about the second coin, which is the most important coin for everyone. Alright? Which is the POTS coin, POTS coin. Right. So if you look at the POTS coin over here, you see, we all know that the IBS is going to be the inflationary. That means it's going to be inflate, right? It's increasing. So we are designing POTS coin to actually doing the decreasing. Okay? So here is some tips for POTS coin. So what is POTS coin? So in POTS, we have a total 21 million of fixed supply, and this is fixed. Okay, even though IBS there is no fixed supply, but for POTS, yes, it's fixed. Because we all know, if the coin is fixed total supply, that means it's going to be valuable. Or else you can look at those meme coins, their supply is like unlimited. Okay, and one more coin that you see like example Bitcoin. Why Bitcoin is actually valuable? Because it's first thing first, he has a fixed total supply, same with us, 21 million, and every 4 years it's going to be do a reduction. Okay, so in this POTS coin, they're going to be a non-inflationary, and then the most important thing is POTS coin is going to be the long-term value asset for you, because we all know that after 500 days later on, okay, while we keep on decreasing 0.5% daily, and then while all the gas fee 10 and 30% put into POTS coin, buy Bitcoin and put to the POTS coin, okay, when the BTC, the Bitcoin pricing is raised up, so this is all the factors that will actually impact our POTS coin to be raise our pricing, keep on keep on increasing the pricing, the value of it, and that is the few reason of it. Now, so what's the purpose of POTS coin? So it's for governance, and this is some sort of incentive for everyone, because you see, for other projects, the 10 and 30% is taken by company, nothing with you, because this is supposed to be a company revenue, because they build everything, right? But in here, we are very generous, we just take all the gas fees, 10 and 30%, we build another coin for everyone. And this coin is only living in between our members. That means no other people can actually buy a POTS coin outside there. Of course, there's one way maybe he can buy the POTS coin with you guys since you are holding the coin, right? But trust me, don't sell it now, you will regret for you yourself, right? And then, yes, I believe POTS coin is going to be a long-term holding coin, because along the journey, POTS is going to be more valuable. And lastly, POTS coin is going to be the ecosystem that is a credibility. Okay, so you can imagine POTS coin is actually some sort of jackpot for yourself, because along the time the pricing keep on increasing, and you will see that later on. There's going to be a huge impact, especially now we haven't started our prediction market yet. Okay, so when we start our prediction market yet, another 30% the gas fee from the prediction market is going to be come in here. So can you imagine how fast POTS pricing is going to be raised up? Okay. Now, so the flywheel effect is going to be happen. First thing first, user is going to entry. So the entry either they join now, buy bond, or they join later, staking. Okay? So whenever people joining in, the IBS demand is increased. Okay? At the same time, our prediction market is going to generate a revenue. So whenever the revenue has been generated, we are going to buy and burn the IBS coin. Okay? So whenever we're doing that, the supply of the pool there is going to be decreasing because we're taking up the IBS. In the same time, we are putting USDT back to the pool. So the liquidity is going to be increased. Okay? So while doing this, our pricing of the IBS is going to be more stability. It's going to be stability day by day. So whenever you see the pricing is stability, the LP pool is increasing the volume. So that means what? That means you will be more confident enough. So this confidence not only by you yourself, but you are confident enough to share this to your families, your friends, your colleagues, whatever is it. Okay? So while you are very confident and you share more, of course, there will be more user entry. So whenever the more user entry, let's repeat again. So repeat, and repeat. So the flywheel, like really going to be fly. Right. Now, so in POS market, alright, we are the prediction market powered by a defined liquidity. Okay. So in POS, it's not only a defined yield system because everyone at the first they know us, they know that we have the universal protocol. So they will think that is it you like others, you are just a defined yield system. So we are more than that. So we actually is a prediction market ecosystem and powered by a real liquidity. So that is important for everyone. And then, so the user is going to be predict the real world events across to the multiples of categories. You can see over here, you see we have the sport, especially this year we're going to have FIFA, right? And then we have the politicals, and then we have some question from cryptos, and the trendings or even like global event. Alright? So I believe, I think it just happens like US, finally he's doing the, like the peace with Iran, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe the pool in the poly market is going to have a winner from that. Now you see, so every prediction activity is going to create a transaction volume. That means what? That means people, whenever they are doing a prediction, of course, they need to pay the money for predict, right? So nothing free. So whenever they're putting money in the prediction market, it's going to create the transactions volume. Okay? So every transaction volume is going to generate an ecosystem value. Okay? Why? Because as we mentioned, we have gas fee from that. So every ecosystem value is going to be strengthened our DeFi because the 30% is going to buy back the IBS and then you burn it. So liquidity increase, supply decrease. Okay? So in prediction market, it actually create activities. Alright? So for DeFi side, the liquidity is actually capture the value, and the POP ecosystem is connecting both of them. That means we have the prediction market on the left hand side, we have the DeFi on the right hand side. So POS ecosystem is joining both of them. Okay? So we don't just predict the future, but we also build a value for it. So that is important. And then, ladies and gentlemen, every one of here now we are actually contribute these great things in the world, right? So if you see the POS value loops, okay, is a self-sustaining ecosystem. Why we say a self-sustaining is, you see, first thing first, POS is designed a closed loop for the economies. That means that every action in here is actually support the next layer. So how we define that? Let's see. First thing, we have a prediction activity, am I right? So whenever we have a prediction activity, there will be a 30% that we're going to buy IBS, so that's why in DeFi it's going to be have a revenue. So when DeFi have a revenue, the liquidity is going to be growth. So whenever the liquidity going to be growth, our coin of the pricing of the coin is going to be more sustainable. So whenever sustainable, so the ecosystem is more confident by everyone, and then at the same thing, if you're confident enough, you're going to share the holdings to your friends. So more users coming in and all over again. So this is a very powerful, we call it a closed-looped ecosystem, because every single layer can join the next layer, next layer, next layer, next layer. So it makes perfectly circle of it, and then it's going to be faster, faster and faster, stable, stable and stable. Okay? Now, why we are having a dual tokens? Okay? So on the left hand side we have IBS. So IBS is actually creating activity of it, while on the right hand side we have a pot. So in pot we actually capture the value. Okay? So IBS is a activity engine step to let everyone to start at the first. So like we mentioned at the early few pages, we have a staking, we have bond. So we have these two entry to attract people who know us, who know pots. So while he's no pots, okay, of course 10 and 30% gas fee is coming up to the pots there, and then with the pots there, our values is increasing, okay, because it's a limited supply, the ecosystem is growth, and it's scarcity because it's getting lesser every days, okay. So on the right hand side, in IBS, okay, it's a powerful because it can be staking, it can be bond, and you will get your reward. Why? Because you are doing your inflows, right? Of course, the liquidity is going to be expansions. Okay? So in this, the whole structure, right, actually we are avoiding a one common problem that when you are joining a DeFi system which they have a single coin. Okay? So you see, the most important thing is the emissions. There's going to be a high emissions of it, and then they're having a selling pressure. That means that because I only have one coin, if let's say I not sell today, tomorrow the pricing drop, so I sell tomorrow, so my total revenue or total ROI going to be reducing. So by doing that, more people who are selling their coin, so the liquidity of the pool is going to be weak, and then by that, there will be an unsustainable for the growing. That means it's going to be stopped, right? In pots here, our solution is going to be very easy. First, IBS is going to drive the ecosystem activities, right? On the left hand side, because we have a staking, we have a reward, we have the liquidity expansions. So on the pots, we have captured the long-term value. Why? Because the continuity 10 and 30% gas fee from IBS is pulling in here. So this will be increasing of our pots. So it's going to be a long-term asset. So if together, okay, they actually have a balance of it, because this has inflationary and this no inflationary. In fact, it's actually a scarcity. It's reducing. Okay? Yeah. So you have to know that you need to trust the design, because why? We are transparency, okay, and it will be more security. Why we say so, you can see at the few Zoom before, we keep on telling you guys our key has been re-announced. So whenever we re-announce a key, that means nothing changes can be done for the pool, right? So that's why we are on chain. So when we on chain, it will be more visibility. That means that everyone can see, everyone can check. And then we have a transparency of the liquidity structures, okay? And of course, it's based on the smart contract based execution. That means that no human hand from that, all is by the smart contract, okay? In the same time, we have built our community, so that's why we bring every single community in. Right now, we have about 25 countries that actually joining the project, and I really feel proud of it, because you know, sometimes when a new team they are approaching us, and then they ask for a different language, so I will be actually quite happy of that. That means that another language or another country that we are being covered, So that is a good thing for everyone. Because more people joining, the growing will be more fast. Okay? And then, of course, it's a liquidity-based system, so that will be more sustainability, and the most important things for everyone is this is going to be a long-term sustainability. So we all know that human, we don't like to change, honestly speaking. You know, you ask one people to go for, you know, exercise or something, it's very hard to actually change his mind. So if you're a human, we don't like to change. So the same thing here. In here, you can actually, I'm confident enough to tell you, 3 years, 5 years, it's going to be sustainability, because you can see the mechanism over there. There is a closed loop. So every single layer is going to be happen. So the core message here is don't trust of it, but you're going to verify yourself. So we've been providing all the singles address that is giving. So go and check, go and verify. Don't simple trust the people, because you know, human and human, we have a trust issue. So why not you trust the smart contract? You go and check and verify by yourself. Okay? So the security only comes from the transparency and the immutability. So that is important for everyone. And lastly, why users are joining pods now? Okay? Because first, it's going to be an early positioning for everyone and in this long-term ecosystem. Alright? So pods, we are combined the prediction market and the DeFi. So dual coin, dual tokens, economies, and we are using the BTC, the Bitcoin, for the backend values and the logic. Okay? So that means that our pods, later on you can switch back to BTC, which is something that more valuable. Okay? So users are joining now because pods actually offer certain of things. First thing first, as we mentioned, now we are still in a very early stage. Even though we are early stage, but you know, we are double up of the LP, so that will be happy to announce. That is the first thing. Okay? So the more early your position in the system, whenever we go to worldwide market, you will have a benefit for that. Because people are trying to join, so possibility he join under you, but not maybe this layer, like couples of layers later on that they are joining. Okay, and then in here we are actually a multiple ecosystem participate part. Like we mentioned, we have the prediction market, we have the IDS, DeFi, we have the Bitcoin. Okay, and then the prediction market this year is going to be huge because of the FIFA. Okay? And the bond and staking participations, that means that I can do whether bond or staking, and then I will get the extra coin. So with the extra coin, I will get a profit. And then some more in pods here, we actually have dual tokens, which is IBS and the Bitcoin. So the value structure will be there. And important note is, in pods here, there's been transparency. Okay? That is important. And there is a decentralized mechanism. We all know that if the money all flow to the boss, so it's up to the boss mood, you know, like if he happy, okay, project keep on going. If let's say not happy, boom, nothing. But in here, nothing can done, nothing can do, because the key has been re-announced, no one can touch the things. So there will be automatic running by the smart contract. And the last is going to be the long-term ecosystem. And we see the potential for that. Okay? So the biggest opportunity are also clear only after they have already happening. So this will be my slide, end of the slide. If you have